Hello foodies, welcome back to the Foodie Files. So anyone who knows me knows I love Indian food. I love Indian breads as well, and one of my favorites is naan bread. But this time I decided to try it as a wrap with my honey mustard chicken, and it turned out so amazing that I think this is going to be one of my new ways of enjoying my naan bread. So let's get to it. Let's start by making the naan bread. So to make butter naan, we're first going to add some flour, some sugar, some salt, and some dry yeast in a bowl. And we're just going to mix the dry ingredients together. So if you're using active yeast, you need to bloom the yeast in some warm water before you add it to the dry ingredients. But because I'm using instant yeast here, there's no need to do that. Then you're going to mix in some yogurt and some milk into your dry ingredients and give that a good mix. Then add some warm water. Just add a little bit at a time. There's really no exact measurement for the water, I've found. You just kind of keep mixing it and adding it little by little until your dough comes together. As you can see in the video, my dough has now kind of come together, and now it is time to knead the dough. So just flour your surface and turn the dough onto the floured surface, and then just begin to really work your dough. You want to work your dough until it is nice and smooth. So for me, it took about 3 to 4 minutes to get my dough nice and smooth. So just keep kneading until it comes together. And this is what it looks like when it has begun to come together and it's ready. Then you're just going to place it in a lightly oiled bowl and leave it to rise for an hour. After an hour, you'll see it would have doubled in size. Then once again, just turn it out onto your surface and cut it into, I cut it into 8 pieces here, but depending on how big you want your naan bread to be. But I think I was quite happy with the size of my naan bread, so I think 8 is a good number. Well, the other thing that you can do is you can actually weigh your dough as you're dividing it to make sure that the naan bread is the pieces of bread are the same size, but I like that rustic kind of freeform way of making naan bread, so I didn't weigh my naan bread. And then you're just going to form it into balls and then lightly flour your surface again and shape your naan bread. You really just kind of roll it back and forth into a rough oval shape, and then onto a hot skillet. I think it's best to use cast iron, but if you don't have cast iron pans, you can use non-stick pans. And then you'll see that it'll start to form bubbles on top, and that's an indication that all is going well. So because we're making butter naan here, I'm going to take some melted butter and I'm just going to spread it over the surface of the naan bread. Oh, so good. Just looking at this makes my mouth water. Then once it's ready on the other side, after about 3 minutes, you're going to turn it over and cook it for another 3 minutes on the other side. Just repeat the process for all the naan breads and until you're done. It's such a satisfying feeling just seeing it all come together and seeing the bubbles rise on top of the dough in the pan and buttering the naan as it's cooking. It's just so satisfying for me. And your naan is done. Now it's time to make our honey mustard chicken. So to make our marinade, you're first going to add some garlic, some whole grain mustard, some Dijon mustard, some olive oil, some apple cider vinegar, and some honey in a bowl. I know it looks like a lot of honey, but it is amazing. Then you're just going to lightly season with some salt and then whisk until your marinade comes together. We're actually going to use this as a marinade and as a sauce. So you're going to take about a quarter of your marinade or of your sauce, and you're going to use it to marinate your chicken. Just coat your chicken pieces. I'm using chicken breasts here, but you can also use deboned chicken thighs. Then just add some more salt onto the chicken and then add another quarter of the marinade on top. Then just give it a good mix to make sure the chicken is well coated in the marinade, and then you can cover and set it aside for about 30 minutes. You can also do this overnight and then set aside the rest of the marinade to use as a sauce later. And then in the meantime, we're going to fry our chicken. I fried my chicken breasts for about 3 to 5 minutes on each side. Just do make sure that it's well cooked, that it's cooked through, depending on obviously the thickness of your chicken pieces. And once your chicken is done, set it aside and let's assemble the salad. So I'm using salad leaves, cherry tomatoes, some red onion, and some feta cheese. I also added some cucumber, but I forgot to add it at this stage, so I'm going to add it later. Then just take your sauce and drizzle it on top of your salad and just toss everything together. Then assemble your naan bread. So before I assemble everything, I'm going to butter the naan once again. I'm going to mix some melted butter with some chopped coriander, and I'm going to brush the butter on top of the naan bread. It just gives it an amazing flavor. You can also add some garlic to the melted butter, but in this case I didn't use garlic because I already have garlic in my sauce. Then just arrange the salad on top of the naan bread. Then slice your chicken and then arrange that chicken also on top of the salad. As you can see, my chicken is cooked through. It's nice and tender. So then just arrange that on top of the salad, and then your wrap is pretty much done. So in this case I used kitchen string to tie it all together, because it's obviously quite difficult because naan is not a typical wrap bread. And there we go, an amazing wrap that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I hope you give this recipe a try and see how versatile naan bread can be. It's not only to be enjoyed with curries, but it can also be enjoyed as a wrap. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and please don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.